Dear Gen Z, I'm going to say something that almost no one in my generation says to yours. You're not lazy. You're not weak. You're not wrong. You're living in a world that really is hard. It's more expensive and more chaotic than the one we grew up in. And instead of helping you, most people your parents' age would rather mock you. I'm not interested in the back in my day. I'm interested in your day. Because I've got kids, and the country you inherit is the country they will grow up in. So this isn't content for me. This is personal. I have skin in the game. And I know a lot of you, especially you guys in the groper orbit. You feel ignored, dismissed, talked down to, and blamed for problems that you didn't create. You're looking at the job market, housing, debt, dating, and you're thinking, this whole thing is rigged against me. Here's the thing. You're right about the struggle. You're right that something is deeply wrong. You're right that the system is stacked. But you've been lied to about who did it. And you've been sold a dead-end plan for what to do about it. So in this episode, I'm going to do two things. First, I'm going to validate what you're feeling because your pain is real. And second, I'm going to show you piece by piece who actually broke this country for your generation and what it really looks like to build something better instead of burning it down. If you're tired of being lectured, if you're tired of being blamed, if you're tired of rage with no roadmap, stay with me. Let's talk about why you're struggling, why it's not your fault, and what to do about it.
Hey, we the people like Gates Garcia, so that's no excuse.
Gen Z, you're struggling, and you have every reason to be. There are 4 major battles your generation is fighting right now. Battles you didn't choose, battles you didn't cause, and battles you shouldn't have to fight alone. And I want to walk you through each one, not blaming you, not dismissing you, but telling the truth as someone who has actually listened to you. Struggle number 1, the job market feels rigged against you. I've heard this from thousands of young men. I can't find meaningful work. I can't get hired. Everything is contract work, gig work, part-time work. They want experience, but won't give me a first chance. Someone less qualified got the job because of DEI. I feel like I'm being punished for being a man, and even more for being a white man. This isn't laziness. This is your reality. And it's a reality that older generations often completely misunderstand. You're not asking for a handout. You're not asking for special treatment. You're asking for a chance to compete fairly, and I hear you. And you're right to feel like too many of those chances have been taken from you. Struggle number 2, housing costs are out of control. Your grandparents bought a house. Your parents bought a house. And you can't. In just the last 5 years, the average age of the first-time homebuyer in America has gone from 33 to 40. And somehow the message you get from the media is, you're just not budgeting correctly. That's insulting. Everything is more expensive for you, especially housing. Not a little, not modestly, catastrophically. And that's not on you. You didn't pass the regulations that strangled new construction. You didn't create endless red tape that stopped builders. You didn't promote affordability policies that actually made things worse. You didn't crash supply by forcing landlords out. You didn't lobby for rent freezes that made developers flee. You didn't pump trillions of dollars into the economy, causing inflation to spike. You inherited a broken housing market. And then you were told you should be grateful for renting a 500 square foot apartment for $3,000 a month. No, absolutely not. Your frustration is legitimate. Struggle number 3, debt is crushing your future before you even start. Student loan debt, credit card debt, medical debt, car loans with 11% interest. Prices that outpace wages for 20 years. Your generation has more debt tied to the start of adulthood than any generation in American history. And when you complain about it, what do people say? You shouldn't have gone to college. Well, that's easy for someone who paid $7,500 a year to stay in college. Your generation was told college is the only path. College is mandatory. College is the ticket to the middle class. And then the government flooded the system with loan money. Colleges jacked tuition through the roof. And you got saddled with debt before you even put on a suit for your first job interview. Again, not your fault. Struggle number 4, dating is broken in a way no one prepared you for. Let's tell the truth about what's happening. Gen Z men are becoming more conservative than ever. Gen Z women are becoming more liberal than ever. This is a formula for disaster. Your values don't align. Your cultural expectations don't align. Your worldview doesn't align. Your priorities don't align. And your political beliefs don't align. And dating apps, they didn't help. They poured gasoline on the fire. For young men, dating has become a minefield. Women feel empowered to reject men wholesale. Men feel discouraged, lonely, and invisible. Everything feels like a trap. Everything feels defensive. No one trusts each other. Everyone assumes the worst. Everyone thinks they're being judged before they even speak. And the radical left message hasn't helped at all. They've spent a decade telling women that men are dangerous. Masculinity is toxic. Marriage is oppression. Children are a burden. Independence means rejecting tradition. Careers over family. If you want a husband and kids, you're stuck in the past. And then they wonder why young men feel rejected and young women feel anxious and alone. So yes, dating is broken. And no, you didn't break it. Your struggles are real, and they come from very real causes. Here's the part where older generations sometimes lose you. And I get why. Because this is the part where they say, well, back in my day, or they say, you just need to work harder. The reasons you're struggling are not mysterious. They're not vague. They're not philosophical. They're not theoretical. They're not self-inflicted. They are specific. They are political. They are economic. They are cultural. And they can be traced directly to the policies and ideological obsessions of the Democratic Party over the last 20 years. Your struggles have fingerprints, and the fingerprints are blue. But we'll get to that. First, I want to stay in this space for a little while longer. The place of understanding, empathy, connection. Because I don't want to rush past this part. It matters. You matter. You are not a lost generation. One of the greatest lies ever told about Gen Z is that you're apathetic, lazy, detached, nihilistic, cynical, damaged, or beyond help. I don't buy that. I've seen too much of your passion, your hunger for truth, your desire for meaning, your willingness to ask hard questions, your courage to reject propaganda, your instinctual distrust of corporate narratives. Boy, do we share that one. You have a gut-level awareness that the world around you is not what it should be. Those aren't signs of weakness. They're signs of strength. They tell me you're awake, you're alert, you're paying attention, you're willing to wrestle with difficult truths. And most importantly, you're not satisfied with the world as it is. You want the world as it should be. Do you know how rare that is? Do you know how powerful that is? Do you know how much potential that gives you? If anything, your generation is more awake than the ones who came before it. And yes, that comes with pain. That comes with confusion, with anger, with heartbreak, with disillusionment. But it also comes with fire. And fire, when properly directed, builds. I know the Groypers are listening too. Let me be clear about something. I'm not afraid of you. I'm not avoiding you. I'm not tiptoeing around you. I've spoken to many of you recently. I've heard your fears, your frustrations, your anger, your distrust, your disappointment in the conservative movement. Some of the conversations have been really productive. Some have been heated, some have been enlightening, and some have been frustrating. But all of them told me something valuable. The overwhelming majority of you are not hateful, you are hurt. And hurt people don't need lectures. They need direction, they need truth, and they need leadership. They need someone willing to look them in the eye and say, you're not wrong about the problems, you're wrong about the blame, and you're wrong about the solution. Because your pain is real, your struggles are real, your anxieties are real, your anger is real, your disappointment is real. But the target you're aiming at, it's the wrong one. And that's what this discussion is all about. I want to walk you through why your struggles exist, who actually caused them, and why you're being misled, and how conservatives, real conservatives, build rather than destroy. But I want to start with something deeper. Every generation in American history has faced a defining struggle. Yours is no different. But the way you respond, the way you rise, the way you push back, the way you build, that will define your legacy. Every generation has faced a mountain. This one is yours. Sometimes you're told that you're soft, that you're weak, that you're fragile, that older generations had it tougher. But think about American history. One generation had the Civil War. Another faced the Great Depression. Another faced World War II. Another faced the Civil Rights. Another faced the Cold War. And another faced the Great Recession. And now, here you are. facing your own trial. Not a war with bullets, not a war with foreign enemies, but something more subtle and in some ways more corrosive. A war on opportunity, a war on stability, a war on masculinity, a war on identity, a war on meaning, a war on reality itself. Yours is not a physical battlefield, it's a psychological and cultural one. But that doesn't make it any less real or any less devastating. In some ways, it's more. And here's the truth. Generational struggle doesn't make you weaker. It makes you the next chapter in American history. You are not victims. You are not condemned. You are not doomed. What you are is next in a long line of Americans who were given a broken world and told to fix it. And you can. But you'll need clarity. You'll need direction. You'll need truth. And the truth is this. Your problems were not caused by the conservative movement. Your problems were caused by the people who claim to be saving you. So now it's time to name names. Time to trace the pain. Time to expose the policies that wrecked your future before it even began. But I need you to know this. You are not wrong to feel the things you feel. You are not alone in the battles you face. And you are not broken beyond repair. You are simply living in the aftermath of political decisions you didn't make. Decisions we need to unravel piece by piece. So let's talk about why you can't find work, why housing is unaffordable, why dating feels impossible, why debt is suffocating you, why you feel voiceless, why your opportunities feel stolen, and who stole them. Not in a vague, metaphorical sense, in a concrete, names on the table, policy by policy breakdown. Because someone did this to you, and it wasn't us. It's time for you to know the truth. So let's talk about the part no one wants to say out loud. You're hurting. And it's not because you didn't work hard enough, or because kids today are weak, or because you don't want it badly enough. You're hurting because systems designed by people in power, overwhelmingly Democrats, have collided to produce the environment you're living in. Not by accident, not by coincidence, not by bad luck, by design. Gen Z didn't randomly end up with the worst housing market in American history, the least affordable college system in American history, the most ideological, manipulated job market in American history, the deepest cultural division between men and women in American history, the lowest levels of institutional trust in American history. These didn't happen in a vacuum. They didn't fall from the sky. They didn't just form naturally. You are living in the downstream consequences of 20 plus years of policy decisions, each one pushing the next generation deeper into a hole. And because the media lies to you every day, you were never given the chance to understand who did this to you, why they did it, and how it ties together. So let's pull the curtain back, because every major struggle you face, every single one, can be traced directly to Democratic policy. Not vaguely, not abstractly, not philosophically, specifically. Let's take them one at a time. First, why is the job market in brutal condition, and who actually made it that way? You know that feeling you have, that sinking, heavy, demoralizing feeling when you apply for a job and you hear nothing? You know that sense of humiliation when you go to an interview and realize the company has a diversity quota to fill, and you are by definition the less desirable applicant? You know that frustration when you get passed up because someone else checked a demographic box that had nothing to do with merit? You're not imagining it. And it's not because corporations love diversity. Corporations do not care about diversity. Corporations care about avoiding lawsuits, pleasing regulations, and bending to the cultural pressure Democrats created. DEI didn't come from CEOs. It came from university bureaucrats, Ivy League ideology, federal guidelines, government contractors, woke HR departments, left-wing activist groups, political pressure, threats to litigation. DEI is not a corporate trend. It's the enforcement wing of the progressive ideology, and it changed hiring forever. Let's be blunt. DEI was designed to reduce the presence of white men in positions of influence, not because white men are bad, but because punishing them is politically advantageous. If you're a young white man in America right now, you're the only demographic group that gets no preference, no scholarship, gets no lived experience bonus, gets no representation in DEI boards, gets no political protection, gets no institutional advocacy, gets no cultural sympathy. Your generation is the first where white men are openly treated as the default villain. And you're told to be quiet about it. But I hear you. You're not bad because someone else got an opportunity. You're mad because you never got a fair chance. And you are right. Who created DEI frameworks? Democrats, academics, elites, leftist bureaucrats, unelected activists. Obama-era regulations accelerated it, Biden doubled down on it, universities enforced it, and HR departments executed it. This wasn't your imagination. This was the plan. Second, mass immigration flooded the entry-level job market. Here's something older generations pretend not to know. When you're 42 and have a career, mass immigration doesn't threaten your job. When you're 22 and trying to get hired for the first time, it absolutely does. Let's be honest. If someone will work for less, with fewer demands, no expectation of benefits, no upward mobility, no long-term cost to the company, corporations will choose them every single time. Not because they care about immigrants, because they care about labor costs. So who opened the floodgates? Democrats. Cities like New York, Chicago, LA, all run by Democrats, declared themselves sanctuary cities and then attacked and then acted shocked when millions of people showed up. But here's the important part. Your job market didn't collapse because immigrants took your jobs. It collapsed because Democrats decided to ignore border laws, incentivize crossings, offer benefits, eliminate detention, fail to deport, encourage asylum fraud, decriminalize illegal entry, and overwhelm states. This wasn't by accident, it was intentional. When you flood the country with millions of people willing to work for less, entry-level wages collapse. And who gets crushed? You. Working-class young men. Not the wealthy, not the connected, not the elites. You. This is why you feel like you're drowning in a system stacked against you. Because it is. Third, why is housing unaffordable? Because Democrats broke the market. Let's go deeper into housing because this is the crisis that defines your generation more than any other. Older generations love to act confused. Why don't you get young and why don't you young people buy houses anymore? Because the housing market is a rigged casino and Gen Z isn't even allowed through the front door. So why did this happen? I see two reasons. Number one, Democrats strangled construction with regulation. The blue states and blue cities where housing is most expensive are the same places that limit land use, restrict new development, add endless paperwork, require absurd environmental reviews, allow activist groups to block construction, ban multi-unit buildings, cap density, and impose zoning that's 80 years old. You cannot expand supply if government prevents supply from expanding. Democrats did this. Number two, Democrats pushed affordability policies that made everything worse. This is the part your generation desperately needs to understand. When you hear rent control, rent freezes, affordable policing, tenant protections, anti-landlord laws, it sounds compassionate. But what does it do? It drives landlords out. It pushes developers away. It reduces investment. It kills construction. It shrinks supply. When supply shrinks, prices go up. Every time the Democrats try to help renters, rent goes up. Every time they try to control the market collapses. And what's the result? Young people, you are locked out of homeownership. Not because you're irresponsible, not because you don't budget, not because you don't work hard, because Democrats created an environment where housing became a political weapon, a financial instrument, a regulatory labyrinth, an investment class playground. And now you have to pay the price. Fourth, why are you drowning in debt? The government broke college. You know why college is unaffordable? Because Democrats made it unaffordable. Here's the exact sequence of events. Step one, government gets involved in student loans. Step two, colleges realize students can now borrow unlimited amounts of money. Step three, colleges jack up tuition. Step four, students are forced to take on more debt. Step five, government raises loan limits again. Step six, colleges raise tuition again. Step seven, rinse, repeat, forever. This wasn't a mistake. This was a feedback loop created by federal policy. The more money the government offered, the faster colleges raised prices. And now your generation is buried under debt you never should have had. Debt from a system designed to exploit you. Debt encouraged by politicians who told you it was the responsible choice. Debt that should be blamed on colleges, not you. Fifth, why does dating feel impossible? The left weaponized women against men. This is the part no one wants to talk about honestly. So let's be honest. Gen Z women didn't suddenly wake up one day and decide men were toxic, marriage was oppression, children were burdens, traditional relationships were outdated, or masculinity was dangerous. They were groomed into that worldview. They were groomed by Hollywood, TikTok, public school teachers, feminist academics, corporate marketing campaigns, activist influencers, radicalized celebrities, and progressive ideologies. Democrats didn't just divide you economically, they divided you romantically. Why? Because if women distrust men, they vote blue. If women delay marriage, they vote blue. If women fear commitment, they vote blue. If women view themselves as oppressed, they vote blue. If women see men as adversaries, they vote blue. If women immerse themselves in identity politics, they vote blue. Women are the backbone of the Democratic electoral strategy. So Democrats spent 20 years turning them against the very men they are supposed to build families with, men like you. They made men the villain and then told them they were imagining the hostility. You're not imagining it. You're living in the aftermath of a political strategy that treated you, young men, as collateral damage. And now your generation is paying the relational, emotional, and cultural price. Sixth, why do Gen Z men feel surrounded? Because the Democrats targeted you specifically. Let's talk directly to the Groyper-adjacent guys for a moment. You feel like no one cares about you. No one advocates for you. No one speaks for your struggles. No institutions support you. No woman respects you. No job wants you. No government policy protects your future. And no leader listens to you. You feel surrounded, isolated, even cornered. And here's the part you're finally starting to realize. It's not a coincidence. It's not random. It's not accidental. Democrats built an entire political ecosystem where men are the problem, white men are the cause, masculinity is threatening, tradition is oppressive, stability is privilege, family is outdated, fatherhood is unnecessary, marriage is optional, religion is backwards, responsibility is patriarchal, and boundaries are bigotry. Of course, you feel targeted because you are. But here's the twist. You're blaming the wrong people for the pain Democrats caused. Your anger is real. Your frustration is real. Your distrust is real. Your exhaustion is real. Your disappointment is real. I share every one of those with you. But you redirected that anger toward the conservative movement, Republican voters, traditional families, Christian values, older generations, boomers, establishment institutions, anyone who doesn't validate your pain, instead of the people who actually created this mess. That's not entirely your fault. You have been manipulated during a moment of vulnerability. And I'm empathetic to that. But it is your responsibility to correct course, because let's be clear, conservatives did not cause your suffering, Democrats did. And that's why we have to talk about this next part. Conservatives build, Democrats destroy. Whenever a society becomes expensive, divided, lonely, nihilistic, and hopeless, it is always because the left took the wheel. Leftist policy destroys families, faith, values, community, trust, masculinity, marriage, stability, purpose, and opportunity. Conservative policy restores every single one of those things. Your generation didn't stumble into a broken world. You inherited the ruins of a culture the left spent decades tearing down. And now you're being told that the people who cause the destruction are the ones who can save you. They can't. They won't. They never have. But conservatives can, and they always have. Young men don't need a revolution. They need a blueprint. Revolutions burn things down. Blueprints build them up. You don't need to overthrow society. You don't need a plan to rebuild your life and your generation. And the only political philosophy that offers that plan, truly offers that plan, is the conservative one. Because conservatives believe men should be strong. Families matter. Marriage is stabilizing. Faith is grounding. Work is meaningful. Responsibility builds character. Boundaries are healthy. Tradition is wisdom. Community is necessary. Purpose is powerful, and identity is sacred. America is worth preserving. You know what the left believes? You're living in the wreckage of their beliefs. Now you need something better.
Hey, we the people like Gates Garcia, so that's no excuse.